It doesn't matter how you started out. It's up to you how it will finish. And it's how you finish that matters most. Thanks for joining us for yet another episode of Wisdom for Wednesdays. We know it can be a long, long stretch between Sunday to Sunday, so we're hoping this Wednesday wisdom will be helpful in getting you through the week. God bless you, and let's watch this together. That's the beautiful thing about this letter that we call the Bible. When you read that letter, you discover story after story after story that says not only will God forgive you, but He can use you in new and magnificent ways if you will allow Him to do so. In this letter we call the Bible, we find the story of a man named Abraham who started out worshiping idols and telling lies. But that's not how he finished. Today we know him as the father of our faith. In this letter you read the story about a guy named Moses who started out as a short-fused murderer with a stuttering problem, but that's not how his story finished. Today we know him as the one who led the Israelites to freedom, rescued them from 400 years of oppressive slavery. In this letter we call the Bible, you read the story of a guy named John Mark who started out being branded as an uncommitted, lazy coward because he left a missions trip before it was completed. That's not how his story finished. Today he's known as the author of the Gospel of Mark. My personal favorite, a guy named Paul who started out as Saul, who absolutely hated Christians, actively sought them out, persecuted, convicted, had them chained and killed and persecuted, but that's not how he finished. Paul, the guy that absolutely hated Christians, became a Christian. He became known as an apostle. Not just an apostle, but the apostle who wrote the majority of our New Testament. It didn't matter how they started, it was how they finished that really mattered. God took them from where they started. He transformed them and used them in new and miraculous ways. He used broken people just like you, just like me, to transform the world. Now, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but I just want us to know your sin story is not unique. Now, don't get me wrong, you are unique, but your sin story has been told before. So here's what you need to know. More than anything else, I really want you to know you are in control of how your story will end. It doesn't matter how you started out. It's up to you how it will finish. And it's how you finish that matters most. So what will it be? You can continue to live in sin, and that will be the end of your story. You can ask God for forgiveness and be forgiven, but only feel like you're partially forgiven, and that can be the end of your story. Or you can embrace the all of God's forgiveness and start to live into the idea that God not only wants to free you of that thing called guilt, but He wants to use you in new and magnificent, exciting ways. Like Abraham and Moses, Paul, Mark. God wants to use you. And it doesn't matter how you started out. It's how you finish that matters most. I finally admitted all my sins to you and stopped trying to hide them. I said to myself, I will confess them to the Lord. And you forgave me. All my guilt is gone. Hey, thanks for watching yet another episode. We're so glad that you were with us. If this was a blessing to you, please feel free to share it with others so that they can feel blessed as well. Thanks again, and God bless.